Hello guys. This is our assignment for this week discussion forum. Okay. I've already submitted mine, so I said I should share some examples with you guys so that you understand more better in case those of you that is having challenges. Okay, so this is the assignment.
Give an example of a while loop, then provide the equivalent do-while loop and for loop. Then give a different example of a do-while loop, along with the equivalent while loop and for loop. Finally, give an example of a for loop, along with the equivalent while loop and do-while loop. Use your examples to illustrate the advantages and disadvantages of each looping structure, and describe those advantages and disadvantages. Your discussion should be at least 250 words in length, but not more than 750 words. Once you've completed your initial post, be sure to respond to the posts of at least 3 of your classmates.
Okay, guys. That's the examples. Sorry, that we should give. So we're giving a for loop, while loop, and do for loop. So we're supposed to give examples and do the equivalent of them. So let me start with the for loop first. Okay guys, let's start with the for loop. Okay guys, so look at this example that I gave here. Okay, so right now if we want this example to count down to like 10 or something like that, let me explain what's going on here. So we'll declare a variable counter here. So this is what you will see people using a variable counter. They mostly use a single word as a variable, like I, X, stuff like that. People using a variable counter. So now I declare a variable counter here, which is int. That means a whole number. It's taking a whole number. So now I'm assigning 6 to I. Okay. So this is the first expression here. Assigning 6 to I. This is the first thing here. The second is this. So now I'm comparing I to 1. Is I greater than 1? Of course that is true. 6 is greater than 1. Is actually greater than 1. Now the for loop is going to check for this, and it's going to loop through, and when it's coming back to loop through again, he's going to decrement it by 1. That means reducing this one by 1. So if this code run, if it's going to run again, automatically this 6 will change to 5. If it runs again, it changed to 4. It runs again to 3 and to 2 and to 1. So right now the condition is false, so the code will break. Okay, so right now I is 1 and I is not greater than 1 at all. It's not greater than 1. It is 1, but it's not greater than 1. So let me put 6 here, and let's run the code and see. So as you can see, it looped through 5 times till it reaches 1, then it breaks because 1 is not greater than 1. Okay, so this is how you check for a for loop. First you specify the count variable here, then the boolean expression, then how many times you want the loop to loop. Okay, so this is what to execute. Inside here is what is going to execute. Okay, so let us see the equivalent examples. Like, let's see how to achieve this with a while loop. Okay, to achieve this with a while loop is very simple. Let me just comment this. So I'm commenting this. I will just do this. Okay, let me use let me use for, sorry, while, then I check if I is greater than 1. So I'm seeing red here. It's just because I have not declared I a variable yet, so don't worry, I'm going to do that. Then this action will be inside here. So this is what the while loop will execute. So right now, let me declare I as a variable. We use int I. So I will be equivalent times I will assign I will assign I to 6. Okay, so now I is equal 6, so I is 6. So right now I'm checking here if I is greater than 1. So this is true, so this is going to run. So bear it in mind that every loops that is while loop and do while loop, they check for boolean expressions, okay, which is true or false. Okay, and if it's true, the loop will run until the condition is false before the loop will stop. Okay, so right now let me do this. So right now we declare the counter variable here, and we're checking if I is greater than 1. So right now this will print out, okay, but if I don't do this, that is I like this. So now I am decrement, so I'm reducing I to by 1. So every time the loop runs, I will be reduced by 1. So that is called decrement. So I'm decrement I by 1. Okay, so when I run this, I'm going to get the same result as before. So I'm running it, as you are seeing, I'm getting the same result as before. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve this with a do while loop. With a do while loop, it's still the same thing. So let me just comment this and still do it again. So we in a lash, we call in the count variable. So this is the count variable. Then right here we call in the do while loop. So we say do, then we add the while, then our full stop. Okay, then right now where your code will execute will come here, so it will be here. Okay, I'll remove this comment. Let me zoom up. So right now here is where it's going to check for the condition. Okay, so right now we declare a counter variable here. This will run and check for this condition. So let's run this. So you see, we're getting the same result. So this, what we did here with a for loop, we can achieve this with a while loop and a do while loop. Okay, so you can still play with this. Like we can set this to, let's say, if we want it to run 10 times, let's set this to 11. Then let me set this one to 0. Yes, 0. So let's see. You see, 1 2 3 4 10. Okay, so if I just remove, it runs 11 times, so the number runs 11 times. So if I change this one to 0, it's just going to run 10 times. So you see how we use to control how many times our counter is going to run. That's how many times our loop is going to run. So we use this counter variable, and this boolean expression to control how many times we want our so this so to control how many times we want our code to run. Okay, so this expression, this is a counter variable, this is why we do the decrement. Okay, and this is what we are executing inside our code. So right now let's check the disadvantage of a for loop and advantage. Okay guys, now we're talking about the advantage of a for loop. Now for loop give you this advantage to write everything inside this parenthesis. Okay, so it gives you the advantage to write the counter variable here, the boolean expression, and how many times you want your loop to run, either by decrement or increment. Okay, that is either by increasing the value or reducing the value. Okay, so that's the advantage of a for loop. But as you can see, a while loop here doesn't do that, and the do while loop, you have to write everything. Only a boolean expression will go here. The counter variable is outside the while loop, and the how many times you want the loop to loop is inside the where the code is going to execute. Okay, so you are seeing the difference, and you're seeing how this one makes it very easy and okay to understand. We declare a variable here, a boolean expression to check the variable and how many times you want it to run. So this is the advantage. So for loop give you this sweet advantage, like is look at the advantage, very sweet and easy. As you can see, how many lines of code is this? But check this one out, just 3 lines of code to achieve this. So this is the syntax for a while loop. It's very easy. Okay, so let me show you what I wrote in my explanation in my assignment.
The advantage of the for loop. The syntax is asking the programmer to write all the code, like a variable counter, a boolean expression, and we specify how many times we want the loop to run, by decrement or increment.
So that's the advantage of a for loop. So let me show you the disadvantage of a for loop. The disadvantage for a for loop is that you can't specify the counter variable outside. Okay, that means you can't use the counter variable outside. That means you can't do this. So you can't cut this and decide to check for as a expression. That means to check if I is greater than 1. So if I do this, so you see now I is declared here. So now instead of this to work, it's not going to work. So while loop doesn't give you this access to specify the counter variable outside. Okay, like how we did in this while loop and do while loop. So in the while loop and do while loop, you see the counter variable is outside, and we're checking for the boolean expression. So you are seeing it's working. But with do while loop, you can't do that. Even though you still remove this like this, it still gives an error. Okay, so you can't do that. So this is the disadvantage. You can't use the counter variable outside. That means you can't use this variable outside. It must be inside the parenthesis. So this is the disadvantage of a for loop. So my next one we're going to look through is called let's check a while loop. So this is actually a code I submitted in in our assignment. So please, if you are using these examples I'm showing you guys, please, so please change the values and change the variable names. Please, we don't want plagiarism. Okay, so to avoid that, please change the variable names, and you can still use some strings or do some concatenations. Okay, or use a boolean expression, or use many things you can do, to different examples you can give. Sorry, I just want to get the logic. Okay, so please try to avoid prejudice. Don't copy everything I showed you here. Change some things, then you submit it. Okay, so when you change some things, run your code to check, run your code and make sure it's working. Okay, so right now this is a while loop. Let me explain what's happening here. So right now we are initially, so right now this line here is an assignment statement. Okay, so we're assigning this empty string, that means empty string, to this input. Okay, so now as you can see, this is a reference type. String is a reference type. Okay, so right now I'm checking now, is that means I'm checking not input eh, equivalent, that means sorry, it's not input. So this is checking, so we're saying is not input, that means input is not equals to this string here, guess. Okay, this string guess. So the logic behind this code is just like we are asking a user to guess a word, that is to exit the loop. Okay, so let me run the code, maybe then I'll explain so that you will understand better. So I'm running the code right now. So as you are seeing, we get a dialog box. Everyone should know how we get dialog box because we did the assignment last week about this, so you should know. So right now, so guess a word to quit the loop. Okay, so if you guess the wrong word, we can't quit the loop. So now we are stuck in a infinite loop thing. We guess the the right word that will quit the loop. Okay, so we can't go out until we guess the right word to quit the loop, and the right word is guess. So when I put guess here, that's so right now you're seeing our code stop. So now I've quit the loop. Okay, so let me explain this now. So I'm setting this string, that means I am assigning this empty string to this input, and now I'm checking is the input. Now I'm saying this input is not equals to guess. Okay, what am I saying? I'm saying this. So I'm just saying this, sorry, I'm just saying this, that means this empty string is not the same with this. Okay, so I'm checking if, that's why I use the not operator here. So it's just saying input is not guess. So input is not guess, so input is not this, and it's true. So right now if you're checking here, input is not this. So if we put anything here, so this is how we check it. Okay, this is how we compare it. When you're using a reference type, you just use this, sorry, to compare it. So if I remove this, I'm saying I'm asking is input equals to this. So if I remove this now, if I remove that not operator, I'm saying input is equals to this, which is false. So the while loop will not run. So this not here, so now I'm saying input is not equals to this. I'm saying input is not equals to this. That's what the not operator means. So I'm saying input is not equals to this. So now this eventually becomes true, because right now this is not this, so it's true. But if I didn't put this thing here, that is the not operator, now I'm saying input is not this. Sorry, input is this. Okay, so I'm saying input is equals to this. Okay, so that's false. So our loop would not run. It's not going to run because this is false. Because actually this is not this, so this is wrong. This is false. But when I put the not, it becomes true. I don't know if you guys understand how this. I'm just trying to explain it so that you guys will understand better. Okay, so let us jump. So you guys can ask me more in case you don't understand in the comments. But I hope you guys understand this part very well. So this is us checking. So as you see, I put a comment here. We check to see if the user enter guess or not. Okay, so if the user enter guess, this will become false. Okay, so now this will bring out the dialog box. Okay, so we're importing the J option paint. So look at it here. I imported it here. So now this will bring a dialog box with our input, and this will be the question, and anything you input inside this dialog box will be saved into the string variable here. Okay, so now I'm calling this input, that's this input here, and now I'm assigning whatever the guy or whatever the user puts into here, whatever the user put into our input to this, then I'm changing it to lower case. Okay, so let me explain. Let me do it code by code. So right now let me just comment this. If I comment this now, we'll be stuck into an infinite loop. Okay, so let me just show you something. Okay, so right now I'm still going to comment this so that I will still so that I will explain it bit by bit. So now whatever someone inputs inside here, we will print it inside the console, but we are going to be stuck into a while loop, an infinite loop, sorry. So right now if I run the code, so whatever I type, I'm going to see it in the console. So you're seeing it here. So you're seeing it. Whatever I type, I'm going to see it inside the console. So now you see I'm stuck into a infinite while loop, so I have to terminate this. So right now I just want to explain that for you. So now so there is a reason why I changed this to lowercase, because just in case the user, okay, let me show you why. So I will just comment from here so that I will show you why I use the lowercase. Then I'll put my full stop here. Sorry, that is so right now we are just assigning what the user type into this input. So this empty string will change to what the user typed. Okay, so now it's inside this input. So right now we are going to, whatever we type will be echo back to us. Okay, so right now let me show you why I use the lowercase. So right now if I press anything, type anything, it's going to be echo back. So anything echo back is going to be echo back. But the moment I use guess, that is the secret word to quit the loop. This is guess, but the moment I press okay, the loop will not quit. So now if I use small, if I spell guess with all small letters, the loop will quit. So as you see, the loop has quit. So now we have to make sure that whatever the user enter will be converted into a lowercase. So that's why I converted it into a lowercase. Okay, so that's the explanation for this code. So it's converted as a lowercase, and whatever data and will be echoed back. So this is where we still echo it back. Okay. So let me show you how we can achieve this same code with a for loop, a while do loop. Sorry, a do while loop. So here is a code of how we achieve this. We give an example with a while loop. So now we are still doing the same thing with a for loop. So this is the same thing with a for loop. Let me print it so that you see. So anything we type will be echo back until we get the secret word to quit the loop, which is guess. So now the loop quits. Okay, so it quits. So let me show you the example again with a do while loop. So this is an example for a do while loop. So as you are seeing, an assignment statement here, this code get executed, then we'll check for the condition. Very simple. Okay, it's very simple, nothing scary here. So this is how we achieve the same code with a do while loop. Okay, so let's see the disadvantage and advantage of a while loop. Okay, a while loop.
Advantages of while loop. The advantage of the while loops. While loops are good in cases where we don't know ahead of time how many times we want to repeat something.
Okay, while loops are good in cases where we don't know ahead of time how we want to repeat something. So we will not specify how many times we want to repeat something. So it's the user that is going to use his hand to stop the loop, like the way we use a word to quit the loop. Our whole computer is just loop that controls our whole computer. For instance, for example, as you can see. So like, let me say this is a loop. The whole computer is a loop. Okay, so the only way for you to stop the loop is when you shut the computer off, when you shut the computer down, so the loop will terminate. Okay, that's for example. So like now it's good for instance we don't know ahead of time how many times we want to repeat the loop. Okay, so that's where a while loop is very, very good and is a advantage.
While loops are good in cases where we don't know ahead of time how many times we want to repeat something. Disadvantages of while loop. The disadvantage of the while loop is when the programmer forgets to add the logic for coming out of the loop. This will cost an infinite loop.
Okay, so a while loop disadvantage is made it happens by the programmer. So just imagine they forgot to put this restart button and shut down button and this Hibernate and sleep. So right now we're inside the infinite loop, which we can't shut down our system, we can't sleep our system. You understand? So that's for example now. So that's the disadvantage. So if the disadvantage is coming from the programmer when it doesn't write a logic on how to exit the loop. So let me give you an example with that with a code. Okay, so as you can see now, this is an example. I didn't write the logic to get out of this loop. So if I run this now, I'll be stuck in the infinite loop. So as you can see, I'm inside the infinite loop. I can't go out. If I enter anything, even though I enter guess, I can't still go out. I'm inside a infinite loop. So I'm stuck into an infinite loop. I can't go out. You see, I can't go out. I have to terminate this. So that's the disadvantage and advantage of a while loop. So next time we're doing do while loop. Okay. This is a do while loop. Okay. So we're declaring the assignment statement here. We're assigning 1 to I. Now we are running the code that is inside the do, and now we are incrementing I by 1. So I will be increment by 1. So let me run it. So as you can see, 1 2 3 4 5 to 10. So if I want 10 things to print out, I'll just put 11 here. Then I run this. Then I'm going to get 10 results. So with all the example I've given, I believe you know how to do this with a for loop, a while loop. Okay, so now let's check the disadvantage and advantages of a do while loop. A do while loop and a while loop, they have similarities, a lot of similarities. Sometimes you even wonder why we have a do while loop, because even me sometimes I do wonder why we have a do while loop. So they are almost the same, but they are not the same. So that disadvantage and advantage are the same. So but let me show you the differences. So they have differences. Okay, so this is what I wrote. Let me show you.
I see a do while loop and a while loop as almost the same thing. With the while loop, we check the condition first. If the condition is false the first time, this loop will never get executed. With the do while loop we check the condition last. Do while loop always gets executed at least once before checking the condition.
So right now you know the difference. You know the difference between them. So a while loop, we check for the condition first. If it is false, it would not run, never run. It won't even execute. But a do while loop, I don't know why a do while loop is stupid. Okay, that's how. If you just run the code first, then before checking for the condition, it's just like you saying that you think you talk before you think. Instead of you to let me say think before you talk, you talk before you think. So that's just the difference between them. Okay, but that disadvantage and advantage are the same, because if you then add this here, you will be stuck inside the while loop. So you see, now we're inside a while loop. You see, it's loading, so it's going to slow down my computer. I need to stop it. Okay, so you see, let me do Ctrl Z. So that's just it. So hope this was helpful. Please leave a comment, say something.